donations and memberships. We take donations to the back. We can leave if you like. We actually also sell books in our bookstore in this facility as well, satellite locations. A couple new things we've done. We have a new satellite location in the Rincon Branch Library for people to be able to buy books there. And we also just brought up our crowdfunding site that's off of our Friends of Livermore Library site. You can see that for donations as well. But we're absolutely thrilled to be here. And anyone that's interested in the Friends organization, certainly you can chat with us on the way out, and we'd be happy to talk to you about donations of any kinds, or if you want to do any volunteer activity. And I'm going to turn this over to Paul and get this program started.
All right, let's give the Friends of the Livermore Library another round of applause. Thank you for making this program possible. My name is Paul Sevilla, librarian here at the Civic Center Library and coordinator for Livermore Reads Together. And do you see the patch on my jacket? A little? This is Fifanella. And Fifanella was a female gremlin designed by Walt Disney for a proposed film from Roald Dahl's book, The Gremlins. During World War II, the Women Air Force Service Pilots, or WASPs, asked permission to use the image as their official mascot. And the Disney company granted them the rights. And so another thing I wanted to show you is this article from East Bay Times on May 30, 2016. This is an article about President Obama signing a resolution that allows women Air Force service pilots to be interned at Arlington National Cemetery. Why am I telling you all this? Because the novel Flygirl is based on the true story of the WASP and their heroic feats. So who were the WASP? In 1942, as the country reeled from the attack on Pearl Harbor, trained male pilots were in short supply. Qualified pilots were needed to fight the war. The Army also was desperate for pilots to deliver newly built trainer aircraft to the flight school in schools in the South. 28 experienced civilian women pilots volunteered to take those ferrying jobs. They formed the country's first female squadron late summer 1942. Between November 1942 and December 1944, 1,074 more women were trained to fly first in Houston and then moved to Avenger Field in Sweetwater, Texas. Nancy Love and Jacqueline Cochran founded the two programs, Women's Auxiliary Ferrying Squadron and Women's Flying Training Detachment, that became the WASP. WASP flew every aircraft in the Army's arsenal. In addition to ferrying, they towed gunnery targets, transported equipment and non-flying personnel, and flight-tested aircraft that had been repaired before the men were allowed to fly them again. For over 2 years, the WASP went on to perform a wide variety of aviation-related jobs and to serve at more than 120 bases around the country. Sherri L. Smith's novel Flygirl tells the story of the WASP through the eyes of courageous African-American female pilot named Ida Mae Jones. And let me read you the synopsis for this book. All Ida Mae Jones wants to do is fly. Ida's daddy was a pilot, and when he took her flying, she never wanted to come down again. But after his death, the sky is off limits to a young black woman such as Ida. When America enters World War II, the Army forms the WASP, Women Air Force Service Pilots. and Ida has a chance to join, if she's willing to use her light skin to pass as a white girl. She wants to fly more than anything, but Ida soon learns that denying one's identity and family is a heavy burden. Can she fulfill her dream without losing herself? So, if you haven't already read Flygirl, pick up a copy. This is an exciting read that appeals to all ages. It's filled with thought-provoking scenes and, of course, high-flying action. And if you notice on the cover, there's Pifanella. So let's get this show started. Before I begin, I wanted to, if you haven't already done so, after the program, view our exhibit of some aviation pictures, courtesy of Livermore commercial pilot and photographer John Kay. And also from the collection of Dan Van Dusen from the Livermore Airport. So check that exhibit out. And now I wanted to introduce to you the pilots that we have here today. Candace Harding. Bruce Anderson. Barbara Blissert. And Jacquie Warda. And I wanted to extend gratitude to the Livermore Airport for making Livermore Reads Together possible. And they've been overwhelmingly supportive and excited, and they're enthusiastic about being a part of this year's LRT. And so let me introduce our first speakers from the airport, Sylvia Kirsch and Angela Hersher. They're going to talk about the airport. Yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm Sylvia, and Angela also, we work at the airport. I'm the administrative technician.
Please speak into the mic.
Thank you. My name is Sylvia, and I'm the administrative technician at the airport, and Angela is the accounting technician. We are honored to be part of the Livermore Reads Together program, and we'd like to share some information about the airport itself. So about 2 years ago, we completed and moved into our brand new airport administration building, which you see here in a night view. We will soon have a restaurant that'll be open. We're hoping for a summer opening. A little bit about the airport. We have 2 parallel runways. The longest is almost a mile. We have about 502 based aircraft with annual operations of close to 118,000. For those of you that don't know, an operation is either a landing or a takeoff. We have 644 acres, 392 hangars, and 150 tie-down and 9 shelters, which are covered tie-downs. A little bit about the operations. The airport, just like our highways and the freeway, is open 24/7 for access. The FAA control tower is there from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. And the FBO, which provides fuel for the pilots and other amenities, is open from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. And we have a variety of aircraft that do use the airport, including small single-engine aircraft like a Cessna and a Mooney that do flight training and private recreational flights. And we do have corporate aircraft, and we do have military and government aircraft that use the airport.
Turn down the lights a little bit.
The airport, along with, is actually owned by the city, but we are an enterprise fund, which means we have to support ourselves. So in keeping of supporting ourselves, it goes with the hangar rents and the other properties that the airport actually owns and gets revenue from. Also, visiting pilots need to pay fees when they use our services as well. And that's how we continuously to support it. So none of the actual city funds from the general fund actually goes to supporting the airport. We do generate taxes this way by those that rent the hangars from us. Some of the taxes of that goes back to the city. So although we don't draw from the general fund, we do contribute to it. You saw how we own 644 acres of land. The airport has what we call a protection area around it because we do not want to become, for example, what Santa Monica is, where residents are living virtually right next to the runways and taxiways of it. We try to have our pilots be very mindful of our residents here in Livermore, Pleasanton, and Dublin by keeping them mindful of where the areas are. And this is why we don't want the homes to encroach on our area. So we can keep it as quiet as possible for you during your lovely times you spend outside.
If you look at the diagram, the purplish one is the outline of the airport's property, and then the kind of teal blue dashed lines is what we refer to as the airport protection area. And this is one of the brochures that we give to pilots that show preferred arrival and departure routes so that they can avoid residents as much as possible. We do have unmet demand, and some of the things that are pending review and approval are a ground lease for some private hangars, which will be adjacent to the fire station 10, and that will be smaller hangars for smaller business type jets. There's also phase 2 for the FBO, Five Rivers Aviation, which will also build additional hangars. And then there's a restaurant lease pending, and we hope to have a restaurant opening this summer. So this is where Montecito, the hangars that are referred to by the fire station, would be built. And this is phase 2 for Five Rivers Aviation. And we have several special events that we have each year at Livermore Airport. One of them is coming up on March 3rd, and that's Women in Aviation, where we encourage girls and women of all age to come and experience what there is in aviation, including an introductory flight, a tour of the tower, information on where you can go to get more education, scholarship that are available, and also speaking with professional aviation women, such as you're going to hear here, that can talk to the girls and encourage them to explore another avenue.
On Memorial Day weekend, we have the Collins Foundation comes in. They're the ones that brings the World War II bombers and offer the flights for those and everything. They like coming to Livermore, and especially on Memorial Weekend, because it's one of their biggest draws for them to see those aircraft that they only have a few left that are flying. So we encourage you to come out and visit them come Memorial Weekend. Also, the first Saturday in October, every year, we have an open house. It's a free event for the community to come. We have a static air display so that you can come and see the aircraft that are actually located here at the airport and talk with the pilots of them. We also have an air show, of which Jackie is a part of that, and you get to see the aerobatics and also, you tell this is not my job, right? We do have a jumper demonstration that we do on that weekend as well. I say weekend, but it's a one-day event. We try to encourage everyone to come and enjoy and then ask questions of what's going on at the airport itself.
All right, so to finish up this, we just want to emphasize that we are a modern airport transportation facility, and we've been the gateway to the Tri-Valley for more than 50 years now. We are a safe and efficient community asset, and we continue to support general regional aviation operations by maintaining the airport in a very safe manner. And we are also the Tri-Valley area's key disaster and recovery facility. So if there's ever an earthquake or an event that would require emergency supplies to be brought in quickly, the airport is where they would come. And now we get to introduce Bruce.
And I'll be right with you. We're just going to make sure that the video here cues up properly. Can I state Hi, folks. Okay. This is wireless? Oh, scary. Okay, I'm Bruce Anderson, and we're about to show you a video, and at the time I authored this, I was thinking of more of little kids, and I've got little kids, but at any rate, let's go flying. So let's go ahead and click on reading. Reading opens up the skies, and see what it's like to go up in an airplane. Fly it all the way, halfway, and then hit the full frame. Yep. Test up the volume a little bit. Now probably good. P-40 Kitty Hawk, P-51 Mustang. This is a flight of 4. 2, 3. Those are the 4 aircraft following. You're hearing the 4 aircraft.
Kilo Bravo, expectation officer current, South American 2974. Radar 1.5.
You're hearing the radio communications between the pilot and the control tower, or in this case, ground. Taxiing out now. All 4 of these planes are currently based at the Livermore Airport. Beautiful aircraft. Well, I see 3 taxi out. The 4th, I had a time slot, so I didn't bring the red dog in. There's Stu Everhart. If we move the cursor up, we'll get rid of the menu below. Up and to the right. Okay, so now I'm in P-28 Trojan, and we got the P-40 and the P-51 on another day, and we're doing a Memorial Day flyover back in 2006. So this is one element of the 4 aircraft.
North of the freeway, passing 2,000 contacts northbound departure. Traffic over Los Vaqueros is inbound, a flight of 4 for the over.
Please take off where you think.
Clear to low approach, then make a right close traffic.
Clear 1 to low approach, followed by right hand traffic.
And there are a few things that sound as good as 4 B-12 Independents going by. Right now, I'm in a B-17 with the Cullings Foundation, and we're doing a move. We're moving the aircraft from Buchanan Field Concord up to Coos Bay, Oregon. And there's a B-24 off our way. Pretty grand, eh?
Ray Whitehead, a member of VMB 154 that we fought in the war in 1942. Our job was to photograph the islands in South Pacific. And I have here a story that I'll show you here. This represents the United States Marine Corps. The United States Marine Corps was noted for around the world. You see the band around the world. We was an aviation outfit, and these wings here indicate the aviation. Our mascot in the Marine Corps was a bulldog, so the bulldog is shown right there. Our job was a photograph. So here's the camera in the bulldog's mouth. Now D stands for fixed wings, M stands for Marine, and D stands for photography. The VMD 154, United States Marine Corps.
Turned out my mother was a war widow, and I didn't know that. Her first husband flew those, and we actually had the accident before.
Free flight. Aircraft documents.
Here we are in the B-25 Mitchell. I'm behind the pilot and co-pilot, and here is a checklist being read.
Skate patch. Good. Palm Bay Clip. Fuel cross speed. Electrical. Brakes.
So Stu Everhart is in the right, he owns the B-51, and John Ward is in the left, and he owns the Old Glory, the B-25 that we're about to go up in.
Open and neutral. Superchargers. Low and last. RV. Cold. Textures.
Absolutely wonderful book, A Higher Call, and there's its call number beneath the book.
Off. Boost pumps. Off. Turn prime switches. Off. Fuel transfer switches. Off. Magneto switches. Normal. Fuel valves. In and on. Fire extinguisher switches. Off and guarded. VOD. Off. Radio master. On. Generator switches. On and guarded. Electrical.
More complex aircraft, more complex checklist. Checklist got started with the B-17. They've just taken a brand new B-17 back to Washington back in the late 1930s, early 1940s. The pilot forgot to release the flight control lock. The military really liked the aircraft. The aircraft was lost. They started using checklists.
Probably one of my best students.
We have a World War II vet out at Livermore Airport, Walter. He used to fly a plane similar to this in the Pacific Theater. You'll notice the 50 caliber guns on the side of the fuselage, but he was also doing kickoff. He dropped the bomb on the water would skip over, hit a target, and take out like enemy shipping in World War II. Walter Treadwell. Occasionally, I'm at the right place at the right time. I'm also a docent on board the aircraft carrier Hornet, and here comes Stu and Old Glory and John and Old Glory. And this would have been for the 70th anniversary of the Doolittle raid on Tokyo, and it will be 75 years in April of the Doolittle raid on Tokyo. Right wing cleared the island by 6 feet. Left gear stayed on the flight deck by 6 feet. God, I know this airport name. It's up in Sonoma. Sonoma. It's slipping me right now. It's the home of the tail draggers. PT-17, or known as the Stearman. These came out, I think it was the late 1930s. Here we have a Ryan ST coming in, or an STA, I'm not quite sure which. About 8 years before this aircraft came out, Ryan Aircraft Company in Venice, California, built the Spirit of St. Louis. I just saw from those struts, yeah, this is the aerobatic, so it's an Orion STA. First flew in 37.
That's a great day for flying.
Now you're wondering what's on top of this bird's head. It's a hood.
And that's
I like things that fly.
But I can take it off here if you guys want to see what the head looks like behind us. I want to say good morning to you.
Doesn't necessarily have to have a propeller or an aluminum skin.
Isn't that a beautiful bird? This is, as I said, a Jura Falcon. His name is Cloud Dancer. He's 14 years old. I've had him for 13 of those years. He's a captive bred bird, so he wasn't taken from the wild at all. It's great fun. Oh, here he's going to rouse it. Straighten out all those feathers after having the hood on. It always feels good. Stretch the wings a bit. Oh, yeah.
As he'll mention, these planes get up over like 240 miles an hour in a dive.
Well, that'll probably come out in a little bit.
Yeah.
So, as you can see the falcon's wings, I'll describe some of the differences between falcons and hawks. See the pointed wings? That's like a fighter jet. They can sweep those back and put in those great dives and maneuverability high up in the air. They're not good for catching prey on the ground as such because they are designed for flying exceptionally fast in the air. You can imagine what would happen if a falcon was coming at 242 miles an hour at a rabbit, and the rabbit is standing there and waits just the right moment and steps to the side. What's going to happen? Maybe in his hole in the ground.
Feathers.
So falcons tend to like catching birds in the air. That's what they're
I've
designed
got a
for.
full video on that, I think, up on YouTube. I need to check that out. If you take away the propeller, you guess glider. I still am a little bit old-fashioned. To me, gliders, they have a slightly different glide ratio. To me, they go down a little bit more than they go up, and then you've got sailplanes that go actually climb on thermals. That's obviously me. So we're up in Sun Valley, Idaho. We have a tow aircraft pulling the glider up to altitude, and this is Sun Valley, Idaho. Now, this is a hard ride. we're doing over 30. I'm having fun. Hard left. And then I was expecting more kids, but you can see the runway over here bordered by snow. And for the pilots in here, they're going to actually notice that we departed and we're landing on the taxiway. That's a highway that brings you up into Sun Valley on the right, and the runway is on our left. And all the books with the J prefix, like this J629, that's a junior book. They're available right outside the door here.
I like that!
They won the flight. I had to pay for mine. If you take away if you decide to put on an engine and make it a jet, you get either a U2 or an ER2. And 2 weeks ago on board the aircraft carrier Hornet, I got an autographed copy of the book written by Francis Gary Powers. Francis Gary Powers' son wrote the epilogue, but anyway, I donated that. When I got out of school, I was hoping to take imagery. It's a science called photogrammetry, where you map and you do inventory. I like the air, I like the outdoors. First job was with Earth Data in San Francisco. Turned out they were going bankrupt. They were mapping at the time the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. I knew about them. They said, hey, you want a job? Yeah. So currently I'm following the plane up. Obviously you did power up there. We're up at Reno, so he started at about, I'll say 6,500 feet. And I'm about to zoom back here, and you'll notice when I zoom back, he's called a dot. And he's still climbing. And he's still climbing. And then the space shuttle. Oh my God, this is the Endeavour flying over San Francisco Bay on its way to Los Angeles. This ship had 25 missions in space. The 747 is how they would ferry it between. How many people know that the space shuttle landed in New Mexico? We have one person back here. There was one time that there was bad weather in Florida. The runway or the lake bed was wet at Edwards, so they landed in New Mexico. Mayor Marchand, did he make it here today? Nope, Mayor Marchand, and he's in an AT-6. AT stands for Advanced Trainer. We've gone from primary up to advanced. Advanced to me is a variable pitch propeller. That allows you, it's like changing gears on a bicycle. It changes the pitch of the propeller, and you can get either better climb performance and power, add retractable landing gear, and I want to say when I was doing it, it was over 200 horsepower.
Poppy Ridge, and I just kind of bring the plane up like this, down, and then this beautiful roll. It's just amazing. And it was just so smooth. I mean, you think that being upside down, I mean, it was smoother in T6 than on the Demon in Great America. Just that roll is just so smooth. You get a lot more banged around on a roller coaster than you do in the plane. Just beautiful.
And then from there, we go into aerobatics. Hi, Jackie. Surprise! Is Jackie here? Yes, she is. She's right up here. And she is scooting off people, and in my opinion, she's about to enter the bubble. No texting here. You're focusing on the job you've got to get done. You cannot text. If you do, forgive me, bad things happen. So if I were a skydiver, I'd call this a dirt dive. What do you call it if you're an aerobatic pilot?
It's called the dance.
This is called the dance. I want to say she is visualizing about what she's about to do in the air. One of the compliments I get is that when I video, the pilots they're focusing on other things. They can't see the young lady up here that might be flashing her a thumbs up. So there was a time I got a very rare Beechcraft Starship, and the guy says, I never get to see the plane fly. With your VHS tape, I was able to see the plane fly. You want to talk through this?
Yeah, sure. Take off for my aerobatic routine at Livermore Airport. And I'm pulling vertical. This might be my first maneuver. It's a short roll, I believe. When I run out of up, it's going to slide backwards, but it's still going to turn because the propeller is turning. Come back down, start flying again. Diving for airspeed. Because when I pull for the next maneuver, I want to be as fast as possible, about 200 knots.
I don't have the full show.
This is a slow roll. Yes, I use the entire length of the airport to make one roll. The most difficult maneuver I do. Besides the landing. And that's Vicky Benson doing snap rolls on the down line. That's okay. That's all right. And that's me coming back in, but Vicky flies the same airplane I do, so.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you like that, but I thought it'd be a little bit of fun. And then ask me about Superman. Give me a couple of seconds here. And this aircraft you're about to see, the 328 KF, that's 328,000 feet. That's Starship 2. I got to see Starship 2 as I was disassembling an aircraft. We can turn down the volume on this now, or set up the next one. But quick story, I know I'm running a little bit over, but Superman. A lot of, forgive me, older adults, it's a shame. I'm talking to a lot of people now, and a lot of people don't know about Superman. Superman, more powerful than a locomotive, able to jump a building with a single bound, faster than a speeding bullet. That airplane that I showed you, the SR-71 Blackbird, that's been flying for over 50 years, it cruises faster than a .30-06 rifle bullet. Wow. And it does it in a climb. 3,200 feet per second in a climb, and it's been flying for over 50 years now. Well, actually they retired it probably about 10 or 12 years ago. When I ask a child, when I say Mach 3, they kind of go, okay. When I say 2,100 miles an hour, they say, When I say 3,000 feet per second, they start to go, oh, okay. That's over half a mile per second. When I ask them if they've ever played on a football field or a soccer field, yes. How long is it? 100 yards. How many feet in a yard? 3. So that's 300 feet, right? Yes. This plane cruises 10 football fields per second. And when I'm on the Hornet, and they say maybe they've driven out from Sacramento, and I say, all right, you've got an easy hour-and-a-half drive home. Yeah. This plane made it from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. in 64 minutes. Yes, and now I've got that sort of response from this gentleman. Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. in 64 minutes, and it's been doing that for 50 years. So there's some cool gentlemen out there, not this cool, this gentleman, I recognize it, I'm trying to remember from where, but yeah, if you've ever seen the movie Hidden Figures, there's also some very grand ladies out there. So with that, they will try to put duct tape over my mouth, and I will hand over the microphone to Candace. Not only is she the president of the Livermore Valley Airmen's Association, but she's also a good friend and all that. So thank you.
Well, my name is Candace Harding, and first of all, I'd like to thank Paul and David for all the wonderful things you've done to put this program together to share aviation with the community, and it's my pleasure to be involved. And I'd like to ask how many of you would like to learn how to fly in this room? Just a show of hands here. A little higher up there, a little more people, yeah. Okay, well, great. Maybe by the time I'm finished, maybe we'll have a few more people raise their hand.
Candace, sorry. Let's take a couple of minutes. Which one did you want me to show?
The third one.
The third one? Okay. Sorry. Technical difficulties.
That's fine. We're just going to show this. When I used to fly for this company, they had this movie that they would try to promote people to take trips on their DC-3. So this is just going to be muted, and you'll be able to see some of the beautiful flying that I got to do and a little bit of history of the DC-3. So I'm a commercial pilot, and I have an airline transport pilot rating, and I'm a certified flight instructor. And I have over 5,500 hours of flight time. And I'm a member of the International Organization of Women Pilots, which is the 99s. And also the president of the Livermore Valley Airmen's Association again, which is a fun flying club. Well, my love of flying goes back to when I was a young girl, and my mother gave me books that she had read at my age. And these were women aviator books. And they were inspiring tales of female pilots. And she also gave me for my 9th birthday a flight on a DC-3 from Boston to Portland, Maine. And what a thrill that was for me. And when the stewardess invited me to come up to the cockpit in flight to meet the captain and co-pilot, well, I was hooked. I'm telling you, that was an absolutely fascinating experience to be right up there and see them flying and looking out the window and seeing the view. It really, really was something that I would never forget. Well, my mother was adventuresome, but she raised a family instead of learning how to fly. But she inspired me, and she lived out her dream through me when I flew my dad and my mom from Honolulu to Maui on Mid-Pacific Airlines. So I grew up in a small town outside of Boston, and I was an executive secretary, but I moved to Hawaii when my parents moved there in the 70s. Now, here's where one should learn how to fly. Not in Boston, not back there, where the weather isn't very conducive to it. But when I was in Hawaii, here is where I decided to learn how to fly in 1975. And to make a long story short, because it takes a while to get 650 hours of flying, I got hired by Air Molokai as a co-pilot to fly their DC-3s, flying between the islands. It was thrilling. It was absolutely, the scenery was gorgeous. Everything about my job was fantastic. And from there, I flew for other sightseeing airlines and commuters, and I was a flight instructor. And finally, after reaching the total of 2,600 hours of flying time, I was hired by Mid-Pacific Airlines, flying a YS-11, which is a 60-passenger turboprop. And I was their first female pilot. And it was a goal I had set for myself, and it was very exciting to be the first female pilot. But you know what happens, things can be short-lived. 2 years later, the airline went bankrupt. We heard that before, didn't we? Airlines have a way of doing that. So it was time to move because there were no jobs left in Hawaii for all the pilots that were out of work. And a whole lot of us had to move away from there. So I packed my bags and moved again. And this time I moved to Livermore. And there was a DC-3 airline called Otis Spunkmeyer Air. There's that beautiful plane that I got to fly. And I hadn't flown the DC-3 now for 12 years, but getting back in the cockpit was a dream come true, and I passed my flight check, and I was hired. And flying for Otis Spunkmeyer Air was absolutely the best job. But unfortunately, the airplanes were sold in 2000, and my commercial flying was curtailed. I was getting older, but not my love of aviation and flying. And aviation can have its ups and downs, but the love of it never dies, and the experiences are so rewarding. I've worked for flight schools in Hawaii, Long Beach, and Livermore, and it was all part of the wonderful world of flying. Now was the time for me to fulfill another dream, to get married for the first time to a wonderful guy that I met in Hawaii many years ago. And we decided to buy an airplane, and that was another dream that I had. Owning my own plane had always been something that I wanted to do. We bought a 1964 Cherokee 140, just like the plane I learned how to fly in. And it just felt like I was putting on a glove when I got into that airplane. I had reached the ultimate goal, owning our own airplane and having a hangar with a sunset view of the runway at the Livermore Airport. It wasn't anything better at this time in my life. And about that time, my husband Terry, who's here in the audience, hi honey, he decided that he had some time because he was retiring and that he wanted to learn how to fly. So there's another dream of mine. And then we upgraded to a bigger, faster, and a Warrior, a 180 horsepower engine, and we flew to many destinations across the country, which we continue to do. So I organized flyouts with other pilots in our flying club, and where our motto is, we fly for fun and food. And it's great, we go everywhere. We fly throughout California to airport restaurants, air shows, and what a fantastic, rewarding flying career I've had. I hope to inspire others of all ages to learn how to fly and realize there are many rewarding careers and goals in aviation that can be achieved. So now I would like to talk a little bit about what you have to do to learn how to fly, how you get started. You don't have to be a young whippersnapper to do this. You can do it at any time in your life. The first thing you do is you go and you get an introductory flight. Then that can be done at flight schools here on the airport. We have Red Sky Aviation out there. We have Attitude Aviation. We also have flying clubs, the Flying Particles, and then there's the Young Eagles program. In these introductory flights, you actually get to fly the airplane. And you're right there, handling the controls. And these flight schools, they truly give you more than just an introductory flight. They'll tell you about the airplane and what the controls do, and you'll actually get to make a takeoff on your first taxi out, of course, with the flight instructor right there next to you. Making sure you do everything right. Now there's medical certificates that are required, but first go see if you like flying. Maybe if you get in there, it isn't for you. So you don't want to go and get your medical certificate right away if you're not going to care about flying. Now the pilot certificates and ratings go from student pilot to private pilot certificate and instrument rating, commercial pilot certificate, multi-engine rating, and air transport certificates. Other flight certificates are for helicopter, glider pilot, and hot air balloon, and the blimp. All those things are exciting, and just think of the careers that are out there waiting for you. Private pilot training is a minimum requirements is a third-class medical, and flight training is 40 hours minimum. 20 hours of dual, that's with an instructor, 10 hours of solo flight, and 10 hours of cross-country time. There's an FAA written exam that has to be passed. You might want to attend the ground school with other pilots to have the camaraderie when you're doing that. And then there's a flight check that you have with an FAA examiner. That's just the beginning. And you have to build time. But it is an amazing thing out there right now. There are a lot of jobs that you can get in aviation. This would be jobs such as airline careers, pilots, even flight attendants, mechanics, dispatchers, ticket agents, baggage handlers, engineers, administrative positions. There's agricultural pilots, astronauts, corporate pilot, flight instructors, helicopter pilots, military pilots, test pilots, and then there's all types of jobs at the airport, administrative personnel, like Angela and Sylvia, and fixed base operations manager, flight instructors, line personnel, mechanics, technicians, transportation security administration, aircraft manufacturing, Boeing and Airbus, Bombardier and Embraer, Cessna, Gulfstream and Pilatus, and government opportunities, the military, Federal Aviation Administration, National Transportation Safety Administration, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, Department of Homeland Security, just the myriad of different careers that are available for people. So for the few young people that are here in the audience today, my advice, if you're interested in any of these careers, would be to excel in your schoolwork, study, read about aviation, take STEM classes, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And right over here at the Byron Airport, Patriot Jet Team Foundation, they have an amazing program in the STEM, science, technology, and engineering, and mathematics. So set your goals and priorities, dream big, and never give up your dreams. And the other amazing thing that's going on out there in aviation is that there's a pilot shortage. So I look at all you people in here that want to learn how to fly, just go out there and learn, and there's a pilot shortage, and the airlines are actually reimbursing people for their training up to about $11,000 to get more people interested in learning how to fly. Now, back in the 70s when I learned how to fly, I was absolutely committed and really had tunnel vision to my goals. A stick to it, never give up attitude is still what is necessary to make your pilot career happen. Once I started, I never stopped, and I got all my licenses and ratings and private instrument, commercial, multi-engine, CFI, ATP. I was busy and it wasn't easy, and I was female, which presented some obstacles along the way. But I was having fun. All this, and I still had a full-time job as an executive secretary, and I still went out to the airport every single day after work just to be out there and to do that, because it was something that I really loved and wanted. I wanted it back. I was busy and I was having fun. 8 years later, I got a flying job as first officer on a DC-3 in Hawaii, which led to many exciting pilot careers with different airlines, not without a few bumps in the road, bankruptcies, whatever. What amazing experiences I had. So the opportunities that are available through the 99s, which is what Barbara will be talking about, and other organizations are things that you need to check into if anyone out there is interested in this and letting your children and your grandchildren know about the opportunities in aviation. And that's about all I have to say, but just never give up if you want it. If you want it bad enough, you can get it.